Hey everybody, it's Helen Anderson. Welcome to my first Facebook Live chat. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Just like in my little invite video, I am on my back porch here in Oregon. And I've got my turkeys and goats in the background, which hopefully they stay quiet, but sometimes they do make a little noise. So if you hear anything, it's them. So let me tell you about myself. So I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have 2 boys that are 9 and 11, and I have a daughter who's 4. I'm also a registered nurse. I have been for about 12 years, and I became a certified lactation educator in 2010. So since then, I have had a great opportunity to obviously learn more and more about breastfeeding, and also have a chance to teach as many parents as possible about the benefits of breastfeeding and kind of how to avoid those booby traps. So I also founded Milkies in 2007. I went into business with my mother. It was definitely something that was done out of necessity. A little bit of background. So I was working in the ER. I was a nurse in a busy emergency room when I had both of my sons, and I worked 12-hour shifts. And so there was a lot of demand on me to pump so that my husband would have enough milk in the freezer to feed while I was working my long shifts, but also find time to pump while I was at work. And for those of you that work a pretty predictable schedule, that's challenging enough, but to work in an emergency room, it can be even more challenging because you never know, kind of what's coming through the door and when you're going to have time to pump. So I had a lot of challenges, especially with my first, having enough milk stored. And there was a few times when we did feed formula because I didn't have the milk stored that we needed when I was away to get my husband and my son through the day while I was at work. So when I had my second son, I was realized how much I wanted to store enough milk for when I was gone for my long shifts, and kind of looked around for a product, and there was nothing out there that would help me collect milk while I was breastfeeding. And I brought this today. This is like my visual of what I would have next to me on the couch while I was breastfeeding in the early days, because this is what I would do is I would have my baby and I would have him, on the couch with me, and I would have a towel on the opposite side. He'd be breastfeeding over here, and I'd have a towel on this side just to catch all of that leaking milk. And by the end of the day, all of these would be soaked, and I also wouldn't have any milk stored. I'd made laundry for myself, and then I didn't store any milk. So I realized how much I really needed to have milk stored with my second. And so I created a product that would help me collect milk during the breastfeeding session. And that's the Milk-Saver. So that's a totally abridged version. It was a pretty long process. But it was a really a great experience. And it was fun to create a product that really solved a need for me and then for a lot of other moms too. So I'll show you what the Milk-Saver looks like if you haven't seen it. So it comes in this case, and this is the previous version of the Milk-Saver. We have a new version now, but you can see how the nipple fits through the opening here. The milk collects in the reservoir. This is a little more than 2 ounces of milk that gets collected. So the Milk-Saver that we have now is a little shorter and a little softer, but it's really the same idea. This can go in the dishwasher on the top rack. It's made right here in Oregon, about 30 minutes from here. So, it's a great product. I'm really proud of it that it's made in the USA as well. So I'll show you that it stands up in the case. That's the reason we have the case, is because when you're ready to switch sides, you're going to need a way to have the Milk-Saver stand up so that it doesn't spill over. So the difference between me having a Milk-Saver with my second and not having it with my first was really night and day. So with my second, I had so much milk stored that I was able to become a breast milk donor. And so I was able to donate over 200 ounces of milk. And that was that was really significant for me. And I actually wrote a blog post about becoming a breast milk donor. So I'm going to link that back. I'll post a link to that article that I wrote about my experience of becoming a breast milk donor. And so that if you're interested, you can read that, because it was a really significant difference for me having a Milk-Saver with my second and not with my first. So in 2013, I joined the Fairhaven team. So Milkies became really the way that we're able to talk about new products and develop new products for all the moms out there. All of our Milkies products are developed by moms for moms. So that was a really great transition for me to have to be on a team of people instead of kind of doing everything myself. I got to be on a great team, and Fairhaven Health is that for me. And then later, when we were thinking, what other mom-invented products would be great under the Milkies line? And we thought about milk trays. And you met Toby last week. She's a wonderful firefighter paramedic down in Tampa. And she created this product called the milk trays, and I actually have them here. So this is what the milk trays look like. And Toby has some great videos on how to use these. But really the point is this is another product that's developed by moms for moms. And Toby and I have known each other for a long time. She's one of my very best friends. You know, we all have that friend that's like our strength, that tells us how it is, that's like our shoulder to lean on. And that's Toby for me. She's a wonderful friend, and doing these videos together is a great chance for us to work together more, because we have a great respect for each other. And what we want to do with these videos is really make it a space where we can share good, reliable information, but also make a really non-judgy space for moms to talk about their challenges and what's working for them and everything like that. So I got to show you the products, but I want to tell you a little bit about what we have going on today that's going to be special. We have a coupon code that you can use, and that's good whenever. It's FB Live, and that's for 10% off anything at fairhavenhealth.com or mymilkies.com. And then at the end of the video, if you share this video, then we're going to go back and choose someone that has shared the video, and that person will win a Milk-Saver milk tray combo. So that'll be really fun. So please go ahead and share it. And you know, it's a really fun way that we want to really get started to talk more about breastfeeding and kind of share our experiences, but also, you know, what do experts recommend for a lot of the things that moms are dealing with today? So I want to think about what else I want to talk about. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them with us, and we'll go ahead and try to answer those during the chat. We will have a lot of opportunities to create new videos based on what your questions are. I know moms have a lot of questions about breastfeeding when you're having to go back to work, how to store enough milk for when you're going back to work. A big question that I get is about milk supply. And for me, I definitely had milk supply issues, especially with my first. I mentioned earlier that I had to that my husband had to use formula a few times when I was gone at work, and I didn't have enough milk stored. And my first son weaned when he was 10 months. So we had to do formula for the last 2 months. So, you know, I know what that's like to have issues with milk supply, and to just feel like, you know, I have to feed my baby. And so sometimes breastfeeding, you know, doesn't go on as long as we want it to, and that's okay. That's okay. This is the space where we can talk about that and kind of be honest with what our challenges are. So I think that's really important, especially now when, you know, I feel like there's so much pressure on moms to be perfect all the time and to not ever talk about things that they're having problems with. I think it's really important that we're able to just be honest about this journey of motherhood, that it's not always easy, and there's a lot of parts that are really challenging. And I know we hear this all the time, that babies don't come with an instruction manual. And that's very true. That is very true. And the best thing that we can do is really try to build each other up and really try to create this culture where we just say, do the best you can. Do the best you can. Here's the most reliable information. Here's some experts that you can reach out to. But in the end, everybody's journey is their own. Your baby is going to be different than my baby, and your body's going to be different than my body is too. So it's important that we're all really accepting of each other's journey, and that's going to be kind of an important ground rule that we lay down, I think, here in the beginning, as we're building this community, we need to really be respectful, build each other up, and understand that when we put that kindness out there, it's going to come back to us, and that's really important. And as mothers, I think that's a great example to set for our kiddos as well, that we do have that really supportive kind of a mindset for other moms. So so my breastfeeding journey was really pretty unique in some ways, in that I did have some issues with milk supply with my first, but then with my second, I had this new product that was really in the prototype phase. And so I was able to really, collect a lot more milk and not really worry so much about pumping and being stressed about pumping at work all the time. So the Milk-Saver made a big difference for me. Everybody has to kind of find their own way. But, if we support each other and we have that great word of mouth and conversations, it's a really great feel and supportive community that we can create. And then with my third came about 5 years after my second, and the experience with her was a lot different. And so that was in 2012 that I had my last. And at that point, right, I should have really known what I was doing. I was a lactation educator. I'd written a blog. I had, tons of information at my fingertips. I'd been to tons of conferences. But oh my gosh, breastfeeding was so painful with her. She was my only girl I've ever had, and she was this petite little girl, and I found that her latch was just really shallow and really painful. And so I used some tricks that I had learned at some different conferences, and it made such a big difference for me. But I had to reach out for help. I had to talk to lactation consultants about, how do I break her habit of the shallow latch, because I felt like she had to eat, and so I had to latch her, and every time she would kind of slide down, and it was so painful. And so, it's tough. I mean, everybody has a different experience, and I thought I was an expert going into my third breastfed baby, that, okay, this is going to be a piece of cake. And what I realized is that, that was a different experience for me too, that nursing my little daughter was different than nursing my big sons. So, just don't expect that things are going to go the same as with your previous baby. But the good thing is that we all have that experience that we can rely on. That I knew with my third, even though I was having a lot of nipple pain and I was having, a lot of challenges, I knew from my first two that I could breastfeed. I knew what it felt like when it was going well. And so I felt a lot of motivation to just get through these early days, that I knew it would get better, and I knew that it would be worth it. I had the experience of a formula-fed baby with my first, getting up in the middle of the night, making a bottle. I remember going to the zoo and remembering the formula and remembering the bottles, but not the rings that go around the nipple of the bottle. And so not having all the pieces to the bottle and having to kind of try to figure out, I think we bought like a sippy cup at the zoo or something, and that's how we were able to feed our baby, because I forgot one of the pieces of equipment that we needed to be able to feed formula. So I knew that with my second two, I really wanted to have I understood why breastfeeding was not only cheaper, but kind of the convenience of it. I like to travel late. I didn't want to have, all these things that I needed to carry around with me. So it was important to me that I just have my breast. That's that's really all I need. And so that was really something that I knew I wanted with my third, and that I was able to kind of get through those early weeks when everybody has a hard time. And we know from research that a lot of moms stop breastfeeding before 3 weeks even goes by. And I get that because if this was your breastfeeding experience of all of this pain and these issues with supply and your baby being hungry, and you feeling like you don't have enough milk and your baby being fussy, you would say, this is how it's going to be. This is how breastfeeding is going to be for the next 12 months. There's no way I'm going to do this. But I think that if we encourage each other, that we can share our own experiences and say, you know what, it gets better. Those early days, they are hard for everyone. There is no mama that sails right through those early days and weeks of breastfeeding. It is tough. Your body's adjusting to not being pregnant anymore. You're adjusting to caring for another human, and your body's adjusting to making milk. And you and your baby are both learning a new skill. You're both learning breastfeeding. You're learning how to do it, and your baby's learning how to do it as well. So, things like that take a while to master. That's for sure. So it's important that we stick with it, especially through those early days, and encourage each other and just tell each other, hey, it gets better. It gets better. Keep it up. And I hope that's what these communities, this Facebook community can do for moms out there, because it's really, it's really challenging. And if it's challenging for you, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not abnormal. You're 100% where you should be if it's challenging in the early days. And if you find that the pain and your milk supply and a shallow latch, and your baby is having, some issues with being really fussy, if that continues beyond, 14 to 21 days, then that's time to talk to your doctor or get some help from a lactation consultant. But just remember, it's normal for it to be tough in the beginning. It is for all of us. And the important thing is really to just kind of reach out and be supportive and be that person that says, I got you, mama. I know it's rough. Let me come over and fold some of your milk-soaked towels for you. Because, that's might be a great way to support your friend is to just be a good ear and let her know, if you've breastfed in the past, what your challenges were. So I think that's really important. I think that's really important that we are a community of moms that just support each other, not judgy about our experiences. I know what it's like to feed formula, and I certainly don't fault anyone for doing that. I think that we all do the best we can, and we just want to feed our babies. But we're here to talk about, really, if your goals are to breastfeed as long as possible, we want moms to reach that goal if they want to. And I think that's really important, that's kind of what we're talking about, that we're talking about the benefits of breastfeeding and how to make that work. And, why we talk about the benefits of breastfeeding, because it really is, for me, it was a lot more convenient. It was a lot less expensive, and I never had to forget a part. I mean, my nipple's attached, so I never had to worry about not having a part to feed my baby. So that's a little bit about me, a little about my philosophy, and what I hope we can talk more about is really just talking about ways we can support each other and talk about evidence-based interventions that we can kind of share with each other and that moms can try if they're having trouble. So again, I just want to share that coupon code with you, FB Live, that's FBLIVE, and that's good for 10% off at fairhavenhealth.com or mymilkies.com. I'm going to post a link to my blog post about being a breast milk donor and how I donated over 200 ounces of milk after I used the Milk-Saver. And then we're also going to choose a winner from all of our people that shared this video today, and you'll receive a Milk-Saver and a milk tray combo pack. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm really looking forward to building this community and talking more to moms about breastfeeding, about the latest in breastfeeding research, and really support each other. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.